What's happening, everybody? Logan Skis here. I haven't posted a YouTube video in over 7 months. I started a 90-day documentation journey. We were going hard on outbound prospecting, content marketing, and wouldn't you know it, it generated traffic, it generated traction, and we've been working full-time with clients ever since. My colleague Jack and I have committed to moving into quarter 3 with the renewed discipline of documentation of our journey, documenting the process, the growth. I'm not necessarily prepped to jump on the build in public bandwagon, but I am ready to document what we do, how we do it, how we think, for the purposes of connecting with and aligning with others out there who share a similar vision and who are curious about visual collaboration, the future of work, etc. Okay, so today I'm addressing a area that has taken up a lot of real estate in my mind recently, and it's the whole ecosystem of the business model canvas, to include the value proposition canvas, hypothesis creation, experimentation, sequence development, all of these things. If these words sound foreign to you, fear not, my friend. I'm going to distill it down to the bare minimum. That's where I began, and many times I believe that's where I still am. So again, my name is Logan Skis. I'm a Marine Corps veteran and entrepreneur. I had the privilege of spending years in the Marine Corps infantry, 2 deployments to Afghanistan. After that, I tried my hand in the civilian game as a personal trainer, a fitness instructor. I worked for over 8 years as a fitness instructor. Over time, leadership and management abilities allowed me to shift from being an individual service provider to actually managing teams, managing fitness businesses, and culminated with me involved with an investor-backed gym startup in South Florida that was sold. Interesting story there for another day. Some lessons are harder learned than others. This one, in fact, taught me a whole lot of what not to do, but some of what to do in the process. Beyond that, some academic instruction I received was Veteran Entrepreneur Bootcamp out of Florida Atlantic University, as well as their Advanced Veteran Entrepreneurship Bootcamp. We can discuss some of the things I learned from there to save you several months of time. And then, of course, the National Science Foundation's I-Core, or Innovation Core program. This is the period of instruction regarding what they call evidence-based entrepreneurship. So combine that with a number of books, courses, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and learning through trial and error. I'm here to share my lessons learned. Because I wish 2 years, 3 years ago, 6 years ago, when I was figuring some of these things out on my own in the wild of the private sector of business, that I could have gone to a YouTube video, gotten a helpful template, gotten a cheat sheet, and been able to save countless dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of hours just seeking to understand some of the best practices. You may be similar to me, where you don't want to reinvent the wheel. If somebody has spent decades, their entire career, in building ideas and best practices and developing frameworks, it would be much wiser to stand on the shoulders of titans, so to speak, and leverage their learnings and apply it to your situation and put your unique spin and interpretation on it. One challenge that we found, my colleague and I found over time, was much of business is fragmented the way you approach it. You need 20 or 30 different platforms. You need to study 20 or 30 different disciplines. And when you're starting up a business, starting up a project, you don't have the benefit oftentimes of bringing in a multidisciplinary team. You have to be all things to all people. You have to wear many different hats and become a jack of all trades very quickly, from marketing to sales to product development to strategy and finance and even legal at times. You have to know how to navigate some of those base levels of contract building and these things. So today is about business model generation, business model management, how to do that in an effective way using a virtual environment called Miro. We're going to talk about Miro in a moment. I've got some visual references staged. First of all, business model canvas. There's a series of books there's a series of books from a company called Strategizer. This is one of the originals, Business Model Generation. Awesome book if you're an entrepreneur that learns visually like myself. This is going to get the most use of any book on your bookshelf. There's a full series of these books, and each of them highlight different principles, different tools, techniques. Big shout out to Strategizer. They are a must read for entrepreneurs, especially those seeking to start up businesses. Alexander Osterwalder and a number of his colleagues have produced these books. Another great one, which is a must read, is Stephen Blank's The Startup Owner's Manual, and Bob Dorff is his co-author here. Awesome materials. What I'm going to be discussing in this video is based on what I've learned and my current understanding of these materials, of these books, and some other materials as well. So that's that. If you have any questions on my synthesis of this information, let me know. I want to discuss and always seek to improve my level of understanding, but also the value we're bringing through this tool. So let's check out the tool. All right. So I'm in Miro here. Miro is a virtual whiteboarding platform. It's awesome. Miro is basically this environment. So most people use it for post-it notes and virtual whiteboarding meetings, diagramming, etc. We have a template that we utilize called the Venture Map. Now, I've broken down the Venture Map in many ways over the months, years I've been creating videos and such. Today's not one of those videos. If you're interested to know the logic breakdown, how I've developed it, why we developed it, it's an internal tool. It's based on my experience in the military when we used terrain model before operations. And this is a business terrain model, our best effort at one at least. Today's more about the business model space, the order of operations. Now, recently I had the privilege of serving as a judge at Florida Atlantic University for the Governor's Cup entrepreneurial pitch competition for the state of Florida. And something like 6 or 8 of the big state schools had internal pitch competitions, and then they sent through the winners of those to compete against each other. I had a chance to connect with some really great entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs working on cool ideas, and it brought me back recently to where I was in my level of understanding on some of these best practices, and more than the understanding, the implementation. How do you do it? How do you actually go through the building of a business model canvas, of a lean canvas, for example? Now, this space is under development. I'm working on this dark mode architecture. One of my previous models looks something like this. But however you visualize it, there's no doubt many ways to go through it. What it boils down to is, how does this one-page document actually bring value? Is there stuff you got to do before this? Is there stuff you need to do after this? Now, there's no shortage of YouTube videos and instructional materials, books, courses, how to flush one of these out. We're looking at a lean canvas here by Ash Moria, which is a adaptation of Alexander Osterwalder's business model canvas. But there's a ton of stuff that can go before and after it. So I'll share some of my understanding of their theory, I guess the order of operations that they recommend. And then I'll show you the jump we had to make in our studies to build additional pieces to the puzzle. So in most of the texts, most of the trainings, they'll tell you to start with a snapshot of your business model through this holistic 9-block, one-page model. We can get into the details on that later. From there, they'll tell you to zoom in and look at your value proposition and customer segments at a deeper level. Oftentimes after that, you'll see stuff that jumps straight to this. And they'll say, from here you can map out your assumptions. And you do that by asking yourself the question, what would have to be true in order for this business model to be accurate? What assumptions would have to be true? And then based on those assumptions that you map, what level of importance do they have to the success of the business? And what level of evidence do we have to support that? And there's all sorts of ways to go through determining that. Based on what's in this top right box, critical importance and very little to no evidence, then you go through and you build a experimentation sequence to conduct a discovery tests or validation tests. And again, this is a whole book, so we can talk a little more about what you learn through the Startup Owner's Manual is the customer development methodology. And in there, it actually pairs perfectly with the business model canvas. There's a really distinct order of operations there, and he's got great logic. In fact, Steve Blank starts by saying, you want to make sure that the opportunity size, the market size, is large enough to make it worth your time. So before you even work on building your business model canvas, you need to start by addressing the size of the market. There's another tool, so that's from Steve Blank's book. Then there's other materials from the Strategizer series that we'll talk about. That's outward looking. And we love this one. This is the environment map. So you can look out in 4 directions from your business model. And we like to view this as a way that injects data in. So looking out towards the market analysis, macroeconomics, competitive analysis, and then foresight. Really appreciate this one, looking at the key trends. That's interesting, especially in the tail of COVID when so much change in a short period of time. It's indicated the need for resilience and agility or adaptability in teams. This is a personal preference, but we really appreciate the Dream 100 exercise from Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels. We think this is a perfect pair. If you're in the headspace already of saying, what's the target market that we're shooting towards, what's going on in the world, looking outside before we're looking in, and then getting very tactical. This is a cool way to put rubber to the road. I kind of view this as the guerrilla warfare of all of this. If the other stuff is the ivory tower of academia, this is as boots on the ground as it gets. The way you do this is say, great, where are my customers today? Whose audience are the customers in? What podcasts are they listening to? YouTube channels are they following? Stores are they visiting, etc.? It's a fun way to do that, and then competitive analysis can be a good, interesting way to go. So you basically go outside, then you go inside, and I think of this, and I talk to my clients regarding this as a Polaroid snapshot. Imagine your business is this massive animal, this massive beast on a safari, and your job is to take a photo of it, like a Polaroid. You definitely want to get snout to tail and hooves to back, right? If it's some crazy animal I'm describing here, like a rhino, you'd want to get the whole thing, right? You don't want to just capture the front or the back, something like that. You want to try to get the whole snapshot. That's why it's important to capture a holistic snapshot. I can do another video regarding the details of this, but we're short on time. Something we're playing around with here is a more simple way to address hypothesis storyboarding. That's what these are. This is the old deliverable we would use to represent that, again, from Strategizer. They'll talk about 4 areas of risk. One is market risk or desirability. The question we ask is, do they want this? So that's great, right? You map out your business model canvas, your value proposition canvas. You're thinking, awesome. And maybe even did the work beforehand, did market sizing, stuff like that. And it's great. Let's get after it. Let's go conduct some customer discovery interviews. Let's build our website. Let's keep building our MVP, whatever it is. But that doesn't tell the whole story. And there's a great saying in these books that I really appreciate. It says the number one job of an entrepreneur is to reduce the risk and uncertainty of your business. And if you have a new idea or a relatively new startup, that's really important. So there's a high percentage of startups that fail. That's no secret. So the greater the greater chance we have, if there's things we can do to increase our chance of success, then we should 100% do that, or at least reduce our risk of failure. So there's 4 domains of risk that we address through this. We basically look at our snapshot and we say, based on what I'm saying here, what has to be true in order for this to be real? A lot of the time as entrepreneurs, we're making stuff up as we go. We're imagining, we're creating. Now, some of it may be based on real observational data and facts, like sales. right? Like people saying, please render this service or give me this product. And that's typically some indication of validation is why we do stuff as entrepreneurs. But they address these 4 areas of risk: desirability, market risk. We have to discuss that. Typically, we go with a sentiment or a couple of sentiments. It can look like a post-it note exercise and go a number of different ways. We'll look at, can we do this? Is this even possible? Building a space shuttle, developing artificial general intelligence, technology, something like that. Do people want that stuff? Absolutely. Can we do it? If you're 2 dudes in a garage or just 2 dudes with a laptop and no background and expertise in the space, maybe not. If you're making a t-shirt business, maybe so, right? So there's a scale there. Can we do this? Is it feasible? And then viability. So if people want it, we can do it. Should we do it? Right? Just because they want it and we can do it doesn't mean it's going to be profitable. So you need to assess the viability of the model. And that's primarily looking at the bottom piece of revenue streams and cost structure. How much does it cost to run your business? How much are you going to charge? How much are you going to make? And then, of course, what level of evidence do you have to support that? None? Is this completely fictitious? Okay, we know where that's going to be in a moment when we draft the prioritization and evidence scale. Lastly, this is really important, and you won't see this in all of the Strategizer materials, but we firmly believe in this, again, as a business born in the COVID era. We've learned firsthand how crucial it is to be adaptable. You can't have such a rigid business that if something big changes in the environment, that it blows up your entire company. It just cripples you, right? We need to be able to pivot on a dime and be more liquid as a group. So adaptability is so vital. And that's, again, this idea of the whole business. How easily can we adapt? Can we change? If we find out that only a portion of what we're building is desirable, is that going to crush us? Or can we kill everything else, triple down into that space, expand it while staying profitable and while delivering at an efficient pace? So this is a thought exercise like none other. Once we have these notes, typically this can be filled with several post-it notes each, a couple of paragraphs each, even bullet points, whatever it is. We work on framing it out like I discussed originally. You prioritize based on importance and evidence. It's a good exercise to go through. Don't be afraid to get detailed during that place either. If you are lucky enough to have a co-founder or founding members on your team, take the time to do this right. Be very serious and about the level of evidence. Scrutinize it as if it wasn't your business. You want to be objective, right? No darlings here, so to speak. Once you're there, then you basically take the assumptions that you've mapped out as critical to move forward, and you build a roadmap, an experimentation sequence. The number one book that I recommend to young entrepreneurs is this guy right here, Testing Business Ideas. There's a full experiment testing library built into the book that is phenomenal, absolutely a thing of beauty, and it will really inform how to structure this. I could discuss some of my learnings on this at another time, how to build out the experimentation sequence, how to select which tests are correct for B2B, for B2C, for services, products, highly regulated industries. They've even got interesting stuff like B to B to C, right? So there's interesting combos in there. There's discovery stage, there's validation stage, there's all sorts of different categories of experiments. So there's a way that directly informs from your hypotheses to your mapped assumptions to your experimentation sequence. And there's some recipes in there for you to follow. The internet has a wealth of information regarding different types of experiments. If you're brand new, it's most likely going to be customer discovery interviews, and there's some interesting ways to do that in a smart way as well. But that's basically all the time I've got for now. From there, we recommend fleshing out all of the experiments in a list and then going through some planning, looking at mapping the vision, mapping your strategic or your growth plan, and getting pretty detailed in that approach so you can be accountable to the growth and then moving down the lane. So that's really all that I wanted to talk about today, is how to map out your business model canvas, and the other related documents inside of Miro. We like Miro as opposed to even the Strategizer software. They have a whiteboarding sort of software you can use, which is legit. But we prefer Miro because it provides more flexibility for other stuff. For example, if you want to build out other deliverables, like Alex Hormozy's $100 million offers, he's got some awesome exercises. Maybe you want to have that next to it. Again, the Russell Brunson thing from ClickFunnels. Maybe you want to do your Dream 100 next to your business model canvas and your value proposition canvas. Perhaps you want to do your brand script by StoryBrand. It's nice to have all those things in the same environment because a lot of it is there's some overlap that occurs. So we love Miro for that reason. Also, it's nice to translate that into for like something like the one-page marketing plan and map out your top of funnel, your nurture sequences, your SOPs. It's legit for prototyping your products and services. So that's why we do it. If you like any of what I'm talking about here, go ahead and let me know by hitting the like button, subscribing, dropping a note below. If you want to do something like this for yourself, you're welcome to. We have a free template that's pretty similar to what I'm showing here. This dark mode thing that I showed today is under construction. And if there's an interest enough for it, I'm happy to share that as well. But our Miroverse template is free. It's baked in with tons of tutorial videos and pre-filled templates. So you can get started at a level 1 with the foundational venture map. Beyond that, we're happy to connect for free on the line on a Zoom call. I can walk through how and why we do stuff just to support your journey as a venture mapper, as an entrepreneur, using visual collaboration technologies, developing a virtual space for your business. We are very passionate about this. We've been working at it for several years for ourselves, for our clients, and we love to see other entrepreneurs share this vision, leverage these tools, technologies, best practices, and accelerate their growth in the marketplace. Okay, so again, you know what to do. Click the link below. Let me know where to send this free template, and if you want, you can even reach out, contact me directly, schedule a time, get on the line, and we'll be happy to support your journey moving forward. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.